check restream.
I got the notification this time.
Sweet. So they can hear us. With background music, so. Are you going to go? Want to make sure YouTube is streaming. And as soon as I see us going live, we will be good to go. Getting that sweet 60 frames per second. Hey, I'm not seeing, there we go. There we go. Okay, I'm going to go live in 3, 2, 1. Oh, we're not live. We're live, but we're kind of not live. Production issues. Hi, everybody. I'm Dan Nadelko. Welcome to episode 129 of Live at the Hive. Can you hear me, Matt?
Producer Matt.
There
Matt's
you go.
Advantage. Yep.
Yvonne, are you with us there, bud?
Yeah, and I'm Yvonne. Here.
There we go. It updated now. That was so weird. Okay, sorry. A couple of technical
Nice.
glitches, everybody. How's everybody doing? How was your week this week?
Going good. Going well. Yeah, for sure. I think you have producer Matt on there twice there, Dan, on the no, there's Yvonne. It's the NDI.
It's the NDI. We're having NDI conniptions here. I'm going to try to fix this while we, I think it was, you know what? It was trying to do active speaker. Let me fix this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
No,
Welcome to what we call Flash Live Editing on the go. Here we go. Let me get this sorted out. So for those of you that are maybe not familiar, NDI is a technology that often on like CNN and things like that, and it allows production tools and platforms to be able to share Skype video to make it easy. But NDI can be a little bit finicky, as you can see what we're dealing with right now. Let me just double check this. Skype live, done. I just want it to stop jumping for 2 seconds so I can just organize this up. So guys, why don't you tee up while I get this stuff sorted out? Why don't you tee up what we're talking about today?
Yeah, so what we're talking about today is just dealing with the stress, the anxiety that some people might be experiencing from working from home. I know there's a lot of mixed feelings. Some people love it. Some people feel more isolated than ever. And this week, we're just going to be talking about our own experiences. We're going to be going over some of the ways that we've been getting over some of the anxiety and the stresses that go along with working from home, but also talking about the kind of the underlying revolution that working from home is bringing into the workplaces. People who haven't been able to work from home maybe doesn't have a work from home policy right now. Things are going to be changing for them within the next couple months. We're also going to be talking about how we see people coming back into the office in the future, but also how some companies, I know Google announced today that the majority of their employees are going to be working from home pretty well until 2021. Now, I know that might not be the reality for a lot of businesses, and a lot of businesses won't be able to do that. But I'm just kind of talking about how Google's choice is going to be influencing other businesses and etc. So we got a full docket of stuff today, which should be good.
Yeah, absolutely. So the other thing I wanted to touch on while that NDI is jumping around, we can live with that, is the fact that we also want to talk about strategies that you can do to reduce your stress, and you know, what are the things that we can do collectively to help reduce that stress. And this kind of started, I think it's been a bit of a theme, right? Right, guys? This is something we've been focusing on for, you know, the last several weeks, kind of talking about it and bringing it to life here. The actual genesis of this is a few reports that we saw kind of out in the world. And you can see on the screen there, I've got it up, is the Yahoo article. We want the flexibility to work from home. Why are so many people finding this so stressful? And we do have a couple of stats here that I'm just going to throw up quickly. 54% of people are feeling more stress working from home compared to 18% feeling less stressed. 52% of people are also feeling more anxious when working from home. And you know, it begs the question, what's happening here? Like, what's going on, and you know, why are we seeing this? We have a few theories, certainly, and we're going to dive into that as well. So we're going to dive into ways that you can have some mindfulness, what your workplace can do to really help figure out the best strategies and strategies that you can use to help reduce that anxiety and that stress. Oh boy. Okay. We're having all sorts of NDI fun today. Matt, you're gone. Oh, there you are. You're back. Okay.
Oh, I'm here.
Let me just see if I can get this thing to log.
You're cutting out for me too sometimes.
Oh, yeah? All right. Well, the show must go on.
I'm still here. I think it's internet spiking right now.
I'm not dropping any frames.
No, but yeah, I agree. Can you hear me, Dan?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you not hear me?
Hello?
I can.
Keep talking, guys. You're good to go.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to talk about kind of. Yeah. I was just gonna kind of talk about how a lot of I was gonna talk about the 54% of people feeling anxious, and I think look we've all been out of the office for a few months now. That's very weird to say, but yeah, for a few months now. And I think like everyone's day-to-day communications with one another is just kind of it's different, you know, like you just can't walk up to someone's desk and sit down and have like a working session with them. Yes, you can still do it on Slack, but for a lot of people, it's not the same, at least for me. Like I thrive on a one-to-one in-person interaction with people. That's how I like getting the majority of my work done. And I think a lot of people feel the same way. There's a dynamic there. It's a sort of unspoken dynamic of having a one-on-one in-person interaction with someone, and a lot of people can't have that right now. So I definitely can relate to those people. That I think it was the 56% of people feeling anxious, and you know, you're out of routine. You have roadblocks that happen throughout the day that aren't work-related. You have to jump out. You have to go grab something. You know, it's a very unpredictable way to work. And like I've told a lot of people, you know, I thought that, you know, working from home would be exciting, fun, but you know, after the first, I'd probably say 2 weeks of working from home, I'm starting to dislike it. Like it's not my jam at all. I'd much rather be in the thick of things with the team and stuff like that at the office. So yeah, I can definitely relate with these people for sure.
Yeah.
And I also think that when working at an office, like you do get a lot more of the details. Whereas like when we're communicating online, you do have to go into more detail and explain. It's way more thorough, or else people will miss out. And I think that's a huge kind of roadblock for a lot of people.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And those things are a big part of this overall stress that we're seeing. So unfortunately, guys, yep. You guys should be able to. I'm here. So we're having some NDI issues. I think that Yvonne and Matt are having trouble hearing me, but we're coming through on the stream. So I'm not sure if we're having a Slack issue here or what. And it's saying poor connection. So I'm not sure why, because we're not dropping anything on the actual live. So we're having a Skype issue. Let's see if it comes back. Can you guys still hear me? Okay. So soldiering on. April is saying, I missed the Hive. So we are having NDI issues. It looks like it's a Skype issue.
Yeah, you're good.
Am I getting better there? Okay. If you guys actually want to drop off and try this call again, I can just keep talking. Why don't we do that? I'm recalling. Let's do this. Bam. Nope. Okay. See if we can get that call going. Just give them a second there. So it's just me talking right now as we get our Skype issues sorted out. Welcome to Live at the Hive. This is what happens when we're doing virtual calls. Let me just do this. Oh, man. Sorry, folks. Get this back here. Let me get the fellas back into the call. So one of the things like we were talking about where Yvonne and Matt were both feeling that level of stress is it is distinctly difficult to communicate over... There we go. Let me answer this call. There we go. Let's see if that's going to go. Whoa. Here we go. This is exciting. I've got 2 Skypes going. This is the problem. Let me just do this. Okay. So while we get these guys back on Skype, one of the things I did want to go over are, so, you know, this level of stress is coming from a certain number of things. And I think one of the most important All right, let's see if Matt's going to connect here. Nope, I'm having, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Shutting down all my Skypes, and we're going to restart these bad boys. Let me just do that. And here we go. I'm joining this call. Hopefully I can get them back. So, you know, what are some of the things that are happening right now in the world of virtual work is we've got these tools, and all of these tools are super critical. But tools themselves are not going to let you solve that problem. I'll just give you a quick example here. If you give me a series of carpentry tools and tell me to build a deck, you're probably going to end up with something like on the right-hand side there. And the problem is that that's what happens when we just throw tools at a problem. So without just throwing tools at the problem, let me just see here. I'm going to actually answer Matt on this. There we go. You're having all sorts of problems today, aren't we? So your call's not coming through to me on my Skype desktop right now. No, you're actually on my phone for some reason. So yeah, it's a Skype issue. Skype's falling over for me here. I'm not sure. It still has the call joined on. So you know what? Why don't we do this? Huh? Yeah, we can just do voice on Slack. Why don't we do that? Let me see if I can get this all going. So I'll go back to all my speakers. So we're going to make a little shift here. We're going to move from Skype to Slack. There we go. And let's see how we can get this going. All right, so like I said, tools alone aren't going to ensure that we're successful, because if you want me to build your deck, you're going to get what's on the right. And if you were to actually look for a really good job, you'd want a craftsman. And the difference here is what is happening. I'm not sure, nothing's connecting here. Let me see. Okay. So we seem to be having some issues on the internet connection. Okay. Let me try to call again. See if I can get that going. All right. So these tools alone, Matt, are you seeing that call come through at all? This is the funnest live we've ever had. It's probably the most technical issues we've ever had. I'll say that much. Okay. I'm flying solo, yes. So we are indeed having some technical issues here on, I'm not getting any Slack or Skype, but do appear to have, let's see how this is going. I do appear to have a decent connection. Okay. But for some reason, I can't get Slack or Skype to initiate on a call. Let me just see if I can do one more time. Restart this completely. Okay. So how's everybody's week going? Let's keep the chat going. It's good times. It's good times. There we go. Skype. What's that, Matt? Let's see if I'm going to get this connection. Just give me 1 second here. We'll get this sorted out. Yeah, Skype's giving me all sorts of headaches here. And let's see if I can restart it and get it going. All right. Oh, I can do it. No worries. This is just a real tea. We're just going to sit here and we're going to have a little chit chat. I'm going to hang up on those guys. Let's see if this is going to connect. All right. Oh, do I have a map? It says we're connected, so I'm not sure what we have going on here. Okay, give me a sec. Hello, hello. Uh-oh. Do. Okay. The weekend is almost here. This is absolutely true. I'm just going to check something here. No worries. This is just a real tea. We're just going to sit here. That's right. Lone Wolf Dan, you got this. I guess so. Well, hey, you know what? If that's how it's going to be, that's how it's going to be. It looks like my Skype does not want to cooperate at all. It's actually crashing. Quit. Let's see if I can restart it. We might be able to recover this yet. Oh, man. Okay. There we go. All right. And of course, we've got 15 concurrent viewers while we're having tons of technical issues and Skype is just not cooperating at all. But anyways, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to jump over here and I'm going to jump to my desktop and I'm going to change the scene up a little bit to just kind of feature little old me. And we're going to talk. This is what we're going to do. We're live. So Miguel's saying his week has been great. He finally got a second screen back in place and have a better workspace. Yes, that is absolutely true. Miguel, that's a great point. Dual screens and dual monitors. So I'm just gonna go through this, and we're gonna roll through some of these examples of great ways to find self-care at home. So I think one of the things is, you know, like Matt was saying earlier on in the live, and feel free, guys, shoot any questions or comments, and especially if you guys have any strategies that you use, feel free to share them. I think one of the most important things is I think people just get overwhelmed, and that overwhelming feeling comes from all of these new tools. So if I jump back over here, like I said, tools will not solve the problem for us, right? Stacey DeSantis. Okay. Should name the cactus Corona. Too soon, April. Too soon. But let's talk about some of the tools that people can use. So you've got Slack, you've got Skype, you've got Microsoft Teams, you've got GoToMeeting, Zoom, WebEx, Facebook Workplace, Jira for larger companies. But those tools can actually become incredibly overwhelming. And for example, if I were to show Slack, that can be an overwhelming chat application to have to deal with on a very regular basis because there's a lot of activity. So let's just kind of circle back and look at what are some of the things that are causing people to feel that stress, right? To feel that, like, what are the causes of this stress? There's huge things. Number one, human beings, we are social animals. When we lack face-to-face interaction with each other, there's a huge sense of isolation. And that is a huge concern both for people in management positions, but also the entire team. And then what you end up having is this kind of worry or concern that in some cases, supervisors may actually feel like they don't know what's going on. So it's a trust issue. So Matt's saying self-care is number one from when working from home. Different dynamic and not for everyone. Take some time to get some fresh air. Do some chores if you need to. Maybe flex your work hours. That's a good point. Yep. One of the things that we've also been doing is encouraging the team to go for a walk on a nice day, like get out there for 15 minutes. And that's a huge one. So that's the first one, is lack of face-to-face interaction is causing stress all over the place. And I'll point you to this. I'll start out. It may seem a little bit negative. I'm going to try to find this. Here it is. This is a great one. How to deal with micromanagers in a COVID world. And I'm pretty sure they set this up. But you can see here on this screen, in the screen share here, that screenshot. Are you available for a call? Can I see what you've been doing? 8 minutes later, can we meet for 15 minutes? Where are you? What are you working on? I need an update ASAP. And this is all about people feeling a sense of distress. So you have a supervisor feeling distress. That works its way through the entire team. What you end up having is a snowball effect. And snowball effects like that can be positive and negative. And we're going to talk about some of that stuff. Okay. Let's see. Where was I? Okay, the second one. When people work from home, they tend to feel like they have a lack of access to information. It's harder to find documents where, in our case, we use Google Drive quite a bit. Miguel's saying it's a struggle to be creative when you're disconnected from your team. Took some time to get used to this. Yes, absolutely. And Yvonne's also saying living alone has its perks. I can find peace and quiet whenever I need it. But at the same time, being alone all the time can eat at you. That's exactly true, for sure. One of the points that I always like to make is that we are social creatures. We are not built to live in isolation really well. So when people also have that lack of access to information, if it takes you 15 minutes to find a document, that can be incredibly frustrating. And without proper open lines of communication, where the top levels of the management have to encourage the team to bring out this type of conversation. It's like real tea, right? Like, let's talk. Like, how you feeling? Next up, this social and professional isolation. Yvonne, you just talked about this. One of the key problems that is the source of anxiety is feeling that professional isolation that you get from going for lunch with your colleagues, just having a coffee, maybe having that 5-minute chat. Without those little cues in our lives, what ends up happening is we start to feel that sense of isolation. And we have tools and strategies and techniques that we can use to help solve that. Matt's saying, I feel dominant in the early days when people were getting used to working remote. I think now people have found a good groove and are working through it smoothly now. I think in some cases that's true. I think it really depends on the company and the culture, the organization. The next big thing too is distractions. So whether you have an apartment, you really need to set up. Miguel just made that point a little while ago, and it was a great point. Getting that second monitor can make a huge deal. And fighting those distractions is something that we should all be working to solve. So set up a good workplace for yourself. It doesn't have to be a permanent full-time office, but certainly it can be one of those areas where you have a nook or give you that sense of reduction in distractions. The April saying, I miss going out for lunches with the team. Yes, absolutely. We all do. I miss just getting out. Just joking. Actually, not really. The other distraction at home, I think that's important, especially for parents, is you've taken on the second role of the teacher. Your kids are being homeschooled, whether they're teenagers and maybe a little bit more independent. I have a bunch of young kids. It is a whole other set of stresses that come with this entire thing, right? With this entire scenario. Okay. Don't worry, we'll get to some of the self-care stuff, but I wanted to highlight what the challenges are that really do cause that stress, and then we'll talk about how we can solve all of those things and kind of bring it back together. Lack of interpersonal context and interpersonal challenges. So just as an example, let's say I'm having a bad day and I'm feeling stressed. I haven't talked to anybody, and I reply curtly to an email or, very abruptly. The person on the receiving end of that, we don't have the chance right now to have the contextual face-to-face that we would have in an office, where you can kind of read the cues of your audience and of other people. That's a good point, guys. Corizon Family and Community Services has great tips and tricks. They're a great free community resource for mental health and wellness. So that's a great drop. But when we don't have that context and the interpersonal ability to read the other person face to face, it's easy to misunderstand. It's easy to take things out of context. How hard is it to put emotion into an email? It's difficult. And this is, like I said, that snowball rolling down a hill. And the outcome is ineffective teams equals ineffective businesses. And so, what are some of the things we can do to really solve these problems? I think the first thing is that we can talk about rapid leadership communication. So what we do, April's saying, I can't imagine have to work from home with children. It is, I'm lucky I've got my office kind of tucked away, so I can get away from it, but it's still a challenge. And also their mental health as well. So rapid leadership communication. And in fact, what we see and what we are seeing, if we see the Prime Minister and the Premier, those daily updates are incredibly comforting to a lot of people. And in the same way, one of the things you can do with your team is have a standing call for 10 to 15 minutes and really communicate on a genuine level. How are people feeling? What are you working on? Are you stressed out? You can have a breakout. Some of these, the daily video team call is an extremely important one. Casual communication and opening up to your team. The first one on the dance floor. Don't be afraid to open up and be able to open a slightly more personal conversation. Because one of the dangers is, in a stressor, is if you're stressed out and you're anxious and that's not being communicated through, then the problem is that that's going to work its way out in different ways, right? So we have Andrea Lukic joining. Andrea. So don't be afraid to be the first one to open up these types of conversations. And, whether it's with your superior or with a teammate or somebody, take the time, if you're feeling that anxiety, to express that anxiety. So another thing that has been noted by quite a few people is that with this virtual work from home environment, one of the things that's been happening is just this proliferation of meetings and more meetings, right? And that's actually a very, very dangerous thing, is because you could be booked in meetings for an entire day and not actually get any substantial work done. So one of the things that we do is, instead of doing meetings, do working sessions and huddles. Let me see here. I just want to dive over some of these comments. They're great. Really helps break the self-talk and siloing that can happen. I know it took me a bit not to sit on an issue. Oh, that's great for opening up like that. And it's important to be able to do that, because I think in an office you might get a sense when you're face-to-face that, hey, maybe I'm stressed out, people can read you. They can't read you over Slack chat, for example. Yvonne saying hypercommunication is great for keeping your team on track, but sometimes it can get a little crazy when you're getting messages from numerous people. Kind of got to find a silver lining there. So this is also a very good point and very important. Understand what prioritization of messaging means. So that, for example, we have Slack channels that are often an FYI. So you're seeing communication going there, but unless something is directed specifically at you, then you can feel free to just read it and move on. I think that's important to set those boundaries in those chats and how those things can work so people can understand what is priority, what is not, what can I filter out and ignore, and what do I need to pay attention to. But it's a very good point. Very good point, Yvonne, on that. This one is a little bit, seems trivial, but quality equipment, audio and video. If you don't have quality equipment, what's going to end up happening is,
like you said, the audio is going to do something like this.
Or it's going to be something like this, where you can't hear the person. And if you're on a call for, an hour or half an hour with very bad quality audio, it becomes frustrating. I mean, even look at the technical issues we just had here, which, it's fine that we had that technical chaos, right? Like your meetings can break down when those things happen. So beyond the regular technical issues that could happen, definitely be aware that a small investment, there's a Logitech C922, and a quality microphone will go a long way. So moving right along here, one of the other things that we can do, and this is kind of what I was referring to Yvonne's comment there, which was take remote collaboration tools seriously, meaning don't just slap them down and walk away and communicate the way that you might have or attempt to in an office. You have to find a new way to dynamically work through these things, and it's a very important way. So what are the rules on our collaboration tools? When do I need to answer? When can I get my time blocking done with work? That's another thing we've encouraged to maintain your sanity and wellness is to create time blocks and make everybody aware that, for the next 2 hours, I'm working on this project and I need to focus on that. And you can go do not disturb. Sorry about that, April. Oh my God, my eardrums. Yes. Well, that was intentional.
Sorry about that.
Gotta have fun with it, right? Moving right along, and this is the last one, and then now we're going to talk about some self-care and how you can take care of yourself during this time. But developing a clear plan with your team and gaining consensus, and I think it's important that teams work together to gain consensus rather than having a mandate of management setting a bunch of rules for the entire team. That will create a level of mistrust like we talked about earlier, and mistrust is never a healthy thing in an employer, in a team relationship. One of the stresses that has happened with this is many companies weren't prepared and it literally had to turn on a dime. And without the tools and the processes in place, the anxiety and the stress levels for the teams has risen up to very dangerous levels. And, one of the things we want to do by this whole discussion is, in fact, talking it through, right? And saying, here are some of the strategies and tactics that you can implement. So I'm just going to jump back over here. And there's our frozen Matt. He's looking good. So we have a couple of drop frames, but it's actually looking pretty good over here. So I'm a little confused as to what's going on here. Let me see. Let's see if I can do this. Oh. I have a feeling we might end up coming back to life. Let's see if it'll work. Why not? It's all fun. Okay. So this article from Pointer is a good one. So Folio has a good one. 6 ways to stay productive when working from home. No. I didn't even know if they're still there. Okay. So we'll see if they call me. So yes. What are some of the things you can do I mean, staying in touch with coworkers, I think is it's got to be a lot more than that. Setting up video calls and really using that video so you can see someone and look them in the face and look them in the eye. April says, I always calendar block my tasks and projects. It helps me organize all of my deliverables and create realistic goals. It also helps me huddle with a team and still get lots done. That's a great point. Definitely lean in on that. Let's see, where else here? What do we got? How to build structure. Let's flip back over here. Okay. So I don't know if my my stream is taking over everything. Honeypot marketing drum roll. Well, I can't even show you that for right now. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to wrap this up right here because I, for some reason, seem to have had a little bit of a rough spot with my internet connection, even though we are streaming at 60 frames per second. Maybe that's the problem. Miguel is saying, I remember thinking it was just going to be the Hive at home, but no structure is hard if you're in a dynamic environment like a marketing agency. Yes, that is very, very true. All right, everybody. Well, you know what? It's 4:58. It's Friday. It's going to be a little bit chilly, but it's going to warm up on Sunday. Couple of technical issues, but you know, a blog post with this content, possibly do a podcast. Our podcast is live. If you go to honeypotmarketing.com and hit up the live page, you can also subscribe to our podcast. Matt saying we're still here. It's a Skype issue 100%. One last thing, Miguel says, setting boundaries and keeping yourself accountable. You can get away with a lot while at home. Don't let bad work habits sneak their way into your flow. That's a great point. And keeping in contact, you know, don't go down that rabbit hole. I've had days where it seems like maybe I'm only talking to a few clients, but not really the team because I'm heads down in work. It's much easier to go down that rabbit hole and feel very isolated by the end of that day. So that's something to be aware of. So all good, folks. We got